Hello, G. Riley Hetherington for the Hetherington Law Firm. Today I'm going to speak about a will contest. That term has probably been bandied around before when any person passes away leaving a will where someone has a problem with that being the last will and testament of the person who passed away. So let's talk about it a little bit, what a will contest is. First of all, you have to have a will to file a contest about. And that particular contest is normally predicated on three different types of positions to be taken during the contest. First of all, the will has to be executed in Texas with appropriate formalities. For instance, if it's a typical will that's prepared, it's typewritten, it has to have two witnesses, it has to be signed by the person who passed away during lifetime. And if it's not, then it does not meet the requisites of being a valid Texas will. If it's a holographic will, which means all in the handwriting of the individual, again, it has to be all in the handwriting of the individual and signed by that person during his or her lifetime. So you get into situations where issues of forgery might exist in terms of the signatures that actually are on the document, regardless of whether it's a typewritten will or a wholly in the handwriting will. So that's the first line of attack. The second typical line of attack is what is called a lack of testamentary capacity on the part of the person who passed away at the time that he or she signed the will. Now, what does that mean? Testamentary capacity means, did the person at the time that they signed the will have the mental ability to understand several things? First of all, that he or she is making a will. Second of all, that the provisions of the will are intended to be his or her last act and disposition of property that he or she owns. Finally, that they understand what assets they have and business relationships that the assets have to each other, and that they have the memory capable to be understanding of how those assets fit together and how those assets are to be transferred to the persons listed in the will. So that's the second line. The third line is what is called undue influence. Undue influence simply means that at the time that the document was executed, that person who signed the will was under such duress and pressure that they signed the will not of their own free act and deed. That particular pressure that is felt has to be overcoming to where, but for the pressure and but for the influence, they would not have signed the will. Okay, so what you can see from all of those three descriptions is that a contest of a will is extremely factual intensive. The circumstances under which the will was executed, the persons that were present, the actions that were taken by the person who signed the will, the actions taken by the persons who were present, all of those things are critical. Additionally, the mental and physical condition of the person who signed the will, whether they had a medical condition or not, whether influenced and impeded their ability to understand what they were doing, all of those things are very factually intensive. So, what do you need to do to bring to our firm information on a will contest? Well, we obviously need to see a copy of the will. We need to get into the facts and circumstances of all of the things I've just discussed. And that typically has to be done in person. Certainly we can try to handle that by a Zoom or Skype call or telephone, but really, because of the factual intensity of this particular area, it's best to meet in person. So, we look forward to discussing any type of questions you might have or contests that you might think appropriate with respect to any will that you are associated with. Thanks very much.